what's up YouTube? We're going to do a brake job here on a 2001 Buick Lesabre, and we're doing the rear brake pads. We're just going to reuse the rotors. They're a little rusty, but they don't look scored or have any major issues, and we're just looking for a quick cheap pad slap. So if you want to know how to replace your rear brake pads on your 2001 Buick Lesabre, which I'm sure applies to many other vehicles, stay tuned. So the first thing we're going to do is we got it jacked up and supported with jack stands, got the wheels chucked, and then we're going to go ahead and peel off this wheel here. And to do so, we got wheels on this, so if you have a hubcap, pop that off, but we're just going to take this little center cap out, put that aside, and then we're going to go ahead and crack this loose. Let me get my hose untangled. All right, noise alert. You want to make sure when you're doing this that you have the emergency brake turned off, otherwise it will prevent you from servicing the caliper. So now that we're in here, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and loosen up the caliper bolt. And let me make sure you guys are in a good frame of view here. It appears that you are. So there's no bolt here. There's a bolt down here at the bottom. It is a 14 millimeter, at least it is on mine. There we go. Usually should be able to get it out the rest of the way by hand. All right. Got that little slide pin out. We're going to set that aside. And then from this point, I'm going to also take off, I don't know what size this is. Hopefully it's a, looks like it's a 13. Let me grab some sockets here. I'll be right back here. Okay, I got some sockets here. Let me make sure you are in a good frame of view, and you still are good. This back here, there is a little screw here that holds on the parking brake cable. This is just gonna take this off so that we can put a little slack in all this. And then the bolt I took off was right here, that long one. And then back here, so if you come over from the top, there's gonna be a 15 here and a 15 down there, right by pointing at it with my middle finger right there, that also have to come out once we take the caliper bracket, or I'm sorry, the caliper off the bracket and compress it. So we'll go ahead and do that. Okay, so let me go ahead and get in here. I'll switch out to the 15 here. Make sure we're on loosen. All I'm doing, like I said, is just loosening that bolt there. Wish I had a stool to sit on. It's a little uncomfortable sitting on the ground. Let me see if I can get the air tool, take that out the rest of the way. Might just be a little quicker. Probably break. There we go. Sometimes these break off in the aluminum. I don't think that one did, oddly enough. All right, I'm just gonna screw it in there a couple threads just so I don't lose it. Okay, so now should be able to take and pry up your caliper here, and it'll lift straight up like so, and then make sure you disconnect the clip here, which I forgot to do on the ABS. You don't tug on it like I just did. And once you do that, we're at a position now where we can go ahead and compress this piston. Now there is a special tool for that, and of course I don't have the thing over here for it. So this tool goes in here and it has these little dongers sticking out here, and they go inside to the caliper and they allow you to compress it in. So this is a lot easier than using that square thing that they sell that you put on the end of a socket wrench. They don't work very well. All right, pardon my head. Let me get in here real quick. So you turn this one, get that lined up there. Okay, and then you should be able to compress that caliper. You gotta keep turning this back, keep it tight. It's hard to see with my big head, I apologize. We're just compressing that in. As I'm turning it in, I'm turning this here the other direction to keep it taut, and that's what's compressing it in. You could put a wrench on here. This is just what I had on me. So see what our position is here real quick. Okay, so let me just do a little bit of a tweak here. So there's little things, there's little pegs that stick up on the brake pad. So whenever you're doing this, let me try to get this off here without making a huge mess here. I gotta take this off anyway. Let me back this up here. Come on, buddy. A little further. There we go. There we go. So when you look in, hopefully you guys can see that. There's like a little indent there and a little indent there. And those indents line up with a little tab that is on the brake pad. So I'm gonna just, ouch, stab myself, and then just push that, oops, too far. Down a little bit there, because that way it'll line up with that tab. So what we'll do is we'll go ahead and just hang that like that, and then continue on. So now we can just go ahead and pop your brake pads out and just grab a screwdriver and give them a little pop-a-roo, like so. Put them aside. You got that one aside, and then you can take out these little hardware clips here. We'll be replacing them, those aside, and then from there we are good to go back there and hit those 19s. Now you won't be needing your compression tool anymore. I'll show you a picture of that in a minute what the box looks like. I got it from Harbor Freight. That way if you want to look one up, you could look one up for yourself. I gotta put that 19 back on here now. Okay, make sure it's off. I'm gonna get back up again. Okay, so I'm gonna go back here on those 19 bolts that I had pointed out to you earlier and crack them loose. That's what holds the caliper on. You want to be mindful of your ABS sensor back here, that you don't break it when you go to crack these loose. If you need to, unplug it if it gives you a little more room. You want to be gentle because you don't want to be buying an ABS sensor or have to replace a wire for no reason. Okay. Now most of the times you can get these out by just hand once you got it loose. And that's what this one looks like there. Put that in a magnetic dish. There's one down here. It's a little trickier to get to. That aside, put your socket aside, and then the whole bracket just comes off. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in the garage here. I'm not going to film this because I filmed this in other brake jobs. I'm going to clean up these areas right through here, all around here, and I'll show you what it looks like when I'm done with a grinder, well not a grinder, a wire wheel, and then also a file if the rust is too hard. Because what happens is the rust builds up in here. It's like a rust jacking, and it causes the pads to get wedged and squeezed, and then you have problems. From there, I'm going to slip my rotor off, make sure there's no rust buildup on the head of the hub, clean this up a little bit. We're just going to reuse this, but I'm not going to film that because that's basically just cleaning that with some brake clean. Set that over here so I can take that in with me. I'm going to go ahead and hose this down liberally with some brake clean. That way it can start to break up some of that grease on there. While I'm gone doing the other thing, make sure this is, I also want to clean off what the backs of these here. This is the ears on the the back of the, let me make sure you're getting it, yeah. You want to clean off these ears here on the back of the caliper. Make sure there's no buildup on there either of rust or anything. Doesn't look too bad really. Because otherwise it could cause your brake pad to sit uneven and, you know. Always check your boot in here, make sure it's in good shape. That goes around the piston of your caliper. Looks pretty good. Sure your sliders are working good. They're working perfect, beautiful. So I'm going to prop this up, give it one last little bit of the good stuff real quick. All right, now like I said, the other part I'm not going to really film. I'm just going to go in the garage and clean up that caliper bracket, those areas that I showed you. And like I said, you always want to make sure the hat of this is nice and clean too, because you don't want your brake rotor riding uneven on here. It can actually cause a little bit of pulsation and uneven brake wear. These are pretty clean because I'm one of the few people that actually maintenance and service the brakes on there every so often, even if they don't need changed. Really should replace the rotors or at least get a machine, but we're not going that crazy. All right, so we'll go ahead and work on that. Make sure this is nice and clean. It is, looks good. And then I will be back once I'm done cleaning up the brake bracket, caliper bracket. Okay, we're back again. Got that bracket all cleaned up and ready to go. So as you can see, hopefully you can see inside there, it's nice and shiny now, and there's none of that rust buildup in there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and put some of this Permatex Ultra Brake parts lubrication, and I'm going to go ahead and put some of that right where the hardware goes, and that's going to help, hopefully it's going to help prevent some of that rust buildup from happening as quick anyway. Let's get this side. Not too sure what that was. Something fell. Alright, you don't want too much. This is probably too much, to be honest, but that's okay. Should be fine. Okay, so now that's done. Grab my hardware out of my brake shoes. I always get brake pads that have the hardware with it, just because I found over the years that to be a lot better. So let's see, how does this go on? I think they go like this. Hopefully you're capturing that. That goes on there, just like so. And then the other side goes, nope, the other way, Dan. That, and then I always go in there with my finger and try to clean up any extra, because I don't want any of it getting on the brake rotor, because that can actually cause hot spots on the rotor. So I always try to clean that up. Let me get a rag here. There we go. Okay, so now we can go ahead and mount this back on there again. We have to get back up here. That goes on there like so. One started. Get our other 15mm bolt that goes down a little lower here. Get that going. I'm going to just go all the way down by hand until I can't go any more by hand. Grab your 15. Put that on tighten. Probably should put Loctite on these. I believe they called for Loctite. And before somebody asks, yes, there is a torquing spec. I just go until good and tight. Use your mind. Okay, do the bottom one. Mindful of that ABS sensor again, not to crack it off. Whoopsie. Okay, now gotta replace that clip back on there again that fell off. I bumped it. All right, there we go. Not a big deal. Now get your brake pads out. Like so. Try to get in here. Sorry, I gotta get in your way there, guys. I can't see. Let me get up there. I can't tell what's happening back here. What's happening? Let me try this again. There we go. Got it. Sorry. I don't know what that was about. I'm going to spin this there and just give that a quick hose off there. Make sure I don't have any grease on it. So those are nice and movable. They move real nice and free, so that'll keep them from wearing unevenly. And now I like to put on the caliper, I like to put, hopefully you guys are seeing this, I like to put a little grease on the front of that piston face and also on the back of these ears here. That just keeps squeaks and vibration down. And now you can take your caliper and we're going to slide it back over this pin that's back here. Be a little hard because you're going against the emergency brake cable when you're doing this. Just watch you don't pinch your boot. There we go. There. Okay. Now, and then slide that in place. Not a hard job. I mean, at the end of the day, I've done this several times on these. Pretty straightforward. Put a little grease here on this guy. And that goes down here at the bottom. Which is back here. I'm going to grab my socket wrench and grab it in there real quick. And before somebody comments, yes, these rubbers do need replaced on here. I already did the other side off camera just because it's the same as this side. It does need replaced. However, I do have them. I just don't know what I did with them and remembered that I should look for them after I had already started this, unfortunately. So I don't think that's starting correctly. Something weird going on here. No, it's just the angle I'm at, that's all. So all I'm doing now, I know all you see is the back of my head, is I'm just screwing that bottom fastener back in. And then you don't want to go too tight on these because they will strip. That's about tight enough with my left hand, which isn't very strong. Okay, clean paper towel. And I'm going to go over, grab a little of this brake clean here, put it on there. I'm going to go over this rotor because I did get some grease on it when I wasn't paying attention here. Like that. There, that's better. Kind of clean up a little bit here. Like so. Any extra grease out of the way. Okay, now I'm going to put some grease on this little nut here that holds in the e-brake cable, just because those always snap off for some reason. They get corrosion in that leather, yeah. Aluminum. We'll try that again. Okay, I'm going to bring this thing, there's a little clip here that comes back, bring that over and get it positioned. Okay. Make sure you attach your ABS wire back to the cable. It has little clips on it. All right. Now let me run that down in the slow-mo noise alert. All right, that's all tighter. I'm going to go with that because I had that on low ugga-dugga. So just do a quick visual on everything. Make sure your brake lines, everything look good. They do. Springs not broken. Shocks look good. Probably could use a replacement. I think I'm going to do a coilover on these and get rid of these air shocks because they don't really do much anything. They just make a bunch of noise. I always like to check your brake fluid, make sure it's topped off. Before I do that, though, I'm going to do a quick I always put these on there just to hold the rotor on. I'm going to do a quick pump of the brake to make sure that the caliper goes through or compresses the way it should. Start it up real quick. Okay, those feel good. So that makes me happy. So you probably could see in the video there that it was moving, the caliper, and I also put on the e-brake to make sure that it all sets and releases properly, and as you can see it does, so it's good. I'm going to bring you in real quick, just give you a close-up here, show you what it looks like. So like I said, yeah, I could use rotors, but we're just getting through an inspection is all we're doing here. Back here, like I said, that's that bolt that I took out that hold that little metal retainer for the e-brake cable. And then further back in here, you could probably see there, I'm touching at that plastic thing. That just holds the ABS cable from bouncing around. So that's good. Let me see, where was that supposed to be? I'm going to move that. No, that actually goes there. Okay. Just didn't like it being against everything. So that's good. Everything looks good there. So that's pretty much it. Let's just see what it looks like here up close. And we're gonna go ahead and put our wheel back on, and then once the wheel's back on, then you're pretty much home free at that point. Get some tools out of the way. Take your lug nut off that I had on there, holding that in place. There is a torquing spec for the lug nuts. Before anybody asks, I don't know. I'd say Google it, your vehicle. Probably the easiest way to quickly find out without looking in the book, and try to find a reliable source online for that. I do torque them if you're wondering. I just usually do mine around 104 foot-pounds usually. I don't really know if that's the correct torque, but it feels good enough to me. Never fell off. Switch out my socket here. That back on full beams. before somebody comments, this is a very weak gun. It's not very powerful, so when I go to torque it, I'll still get some movement out of those lug nuts. So once you torque those, don't forget to put your cap back on. If you have a aluminum wheel, brake pads I went with, there's some your El Cheapo Wagner ZD714. I got them on the Amazon. Gives you the pads, gives you the hardware. 19 to take the lug nuts off, 14 millimeter to take that long studded bolt out that holds the bottom of the caliper slider pin in. 15 millimeter if you want to take the caliper bracket off and clean it like I did. If you're just doing pads, it's not necessary, but I did it because I like to clean the bracket. And 15 millimeter on that little fastener that holds the clip for the e-brake. I'll tighten these up and make sure they're torqued properly once it's sitting on the ground. Oh, I want to show you that other thing real quick too before I forget. I promised you. Let me go get it on the other side of the car. It's called the Maddox. It's from Harbor Freight. It's a disc caliper MF11-1, and what it does is it basically gives you the different types of little things that go in there and allow you to spin those caliper in, because they're compressed in style. They're not your classic just, you have to actually spin it and compress at the same time. You can't just go and compress them in with like a C-clamp like you usually can. So just something to take note of if you're going to be doing your own brakes on something like this. A handy little kit. I've used it a few times now, so I'm just trying to figure out how it goes back in the box. Okay, that goes in like that. So nice little kit. I put the manual and the little foam in there. It just keeps it from shaking, and I'll put them away until the next time I got to do brakes on one of these GMs or twist-in style calipers. So that's pretty much it, guys. Hope this video helps somebody out. It's not the most thorough video you're going to find out there, but at least gives you some quick reference, you know, and what's going on under here and what to do. And if you're just looking for a quick pad slap, I mean, obviously I took the rotor off too, so if you have the rotor, clean it off with brake clean and put that on too while you're in there. Why not, you know? So make sure the hat of that hub's cleaned up so that you don't have any uneven brake wear or pulsation, and that's it. So I hope this helps somebody out. Have a good one, guys. Thanks for watching.